In the course of coming back from maternity leave and learning how to integrate what I was doing in life before with this new aspect of my life, I spoke to my therapist and some friends, and there was this question that kind of hung over my head and heart. And I thought, you know what? This is probably something that will help someone else too. So the question and the thing that hung over my head and heart was, why do I put everything else above what's actually meaningful and purposeful for me? And first, that sentiment kind of rang true for me when I was telling him about my clients for copywriting and all of these things and how I felt conflicted because, I wanted to create more room and more space, like the good space in my life for things that were meaningful, like building the good space, doing other things that felt more meaningful at that time. And he was like, why are you putting money above your happiness and your joy right now? And I didn't think of it that way. And granted, of course, there's a responsibility you may have listening to this right now to take care of your family and to make sure that you can survive. And obviously that's super, super important. And so that's not what he was saying, but it was more like, you can try to find a way to make money that's more meaningful and happy for you. So whether that's finding a new client or maybe putting boundaries with the current client, why is money basically erasing the other needs and the other values that you as a human and divine spirit have? And that just struck me so hard. And so it's not like I let go of the client or anything, but it changed my thinking and perspective and approach towards it. And I actually was able to make some really great progress with that client and then also shift some things around because of that thought. And then when I had my daughter, it was just a very transformative experience, which I'm sure if you've experienced having a kid, you can attest to that. And I just remember thinking, wow, the way I view time and the way that I view what I do in my life is so different now because I have this meaningful, precious, special person, human spirit that I am given the task of raising with my husband. And that time has now become so meaningful and precious, taking care of her. So the small amount of freedom that I do have becomes even more precious. I want what I do with my other time to match not the exact feeling, because I don't think anything can, but I want it to match the importance and the purposefulness of what I do with her. So that's what my therapist worked on me with is how can you make the time that's not with your daughter more meaningful? There's so many things I could do, but what's meaningful to you? What has the greatest purpose? So during another baby nap, I asked my inner wisdom what it wanted. It whispered to me to read the Money and the Law of Attraction book and be still. And that felt so good. I committed to doing that, to feeling good. How can I feel good right now? What would make me feel good right now? So one example of this in action is the baby went down to sleep and there were so many undone projects that I saw on the way back to take a rest on the couch. I saw bottles, laundry, cleaning that needed to be done. And so I asked myself, what's most meaningful in this moment? So I sat on the couch and read a book. And then I thought, who says anything else is more important than this right now? And why? Why do I think other things are always more important than what my soul feels called to do right now? And granted, there are going to be times where you're going to have to do things that you just have to get done. There are times where I'm I just have to get bottles done because it will make my future self much happier. So in that sense, that felt good because getting the task done means I could rest earlier in the night. And I'm great, that feels good to me and that feels meaningful in this moment. So what I'm trying to get at is it's so important to touch purpose every day, every morning, all day throughout the day, because it keeps you connected to your authentic self and what you actually value. And then you're better able to catch yourself when you're oh, I'm putting this thing that above things I actually value. And there's really no reason why other than I feel the pressure to. So let's tweak this. Let's realign. Let's repivot. Let's rewrite the story and block that I'm creating here. Just those little touch points that really make a difference. And I spoke to a listener of the podcast recently too. And when I told her this, she's like, oh my gosh, that is like so powerful because she was struggling with stuff at her job. The boundaries weren't there. She felt very like pressure and toxic, and she had to actually step away for like a couple months for mental health reasons, which is, I'm sure so many people experience that, and it's horrible. Like, it feels awful to be in that kind of situation. And so when she said she was going back, she was nervous about the boundaries, and we talked about what kind of boundaries she wanted to set. And I said, just remember, why does money or security have to be more important than your well-being, your health, your connection to self? And so that's something that I think she's going to think about as she moves forward. And it's just, I think what's most powerful about it is that you remember your core and who you authentically are. And that's really important, regardless of what you end up doing from that point. So anyways, that's also why we created the Good Space Daily, because I think touching your purpose, accessing your authentic self every day is crucial. And sometimes we need that support and that boost and that reminder. So if you're not signed up yet, go to the show notes and sign up, and you will get meaningful content, episodes, words, everything that'll help you connect to that authentic self.